Hi everyone, so today we're going to be looking at solving multi-step equations. So the first thing I want to do is go through the steps with you and then go ahead and try two examples. So the first step asks you to apply distributive property. Distributive property, if you don't remember, is when we have a number outside of a parenthesis and we go ahead and we distribute that number into the parenthesis. The next step asks you to combine like terms on each side and simplify. So if you don't remember what combining like terms is, it would look a little something like this. Okay? Numbers with variables would be combined together to become 7x, and then integers alone would be combined together to become 10. Next, it asks you to move all variables to one side and integers to the other side. Now, in between the next step, you are left with a one-step equation. When you're left with a one-step equation, there are three questions you need to ask yourself, which you might remember from yesterday's lesson. So to review them quickly, the first question is, what is the variable? The next question asks you what operation is being performed on the variable. Lastly, it asks you, what is the inverse operation? Once you have answered all three of those questions, you will move on to the next step, which asks you to use the decided inverse operation to get the variable alone and check your answer. We're going to go ahead now and we're going to look at these two examples. The first example we're going to look at reads 18 equals 3, in parentheses 3x minus 6. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to apply the distributive property. So we're going to take this 3 and we're going to distribute it into the parentheses, which is going to give us 9x minus 18 equals 18. Next, we're going to go ahead and we're going to combine like terms on each side. So we have no other terms on this side, and we do have a like term here. So we're going to take this like term and we're going to swing it over to this side. So 18 plus 18 is going to give us 36, and this cancels out. Okay? So we've now moved all variables to one side and integers to the other, and now we're left with a one-step equation. 36 equals 9x. So we're going to go ahead, and if 9x is multiplication, okay, so if we look at this step here, it tells us to identify the operation used on the variable and its inverse operation. So if multiplication is the operation used here for 9x, the inverse of that is going to be division, which is going to have us divide by 9 to get x alone, and 36 divided by 9 is 4. Now if we go ahead and we plug in 4 for x in this original equation, okay, we have 12 here. This checks out, which means we have done this one correctly. We are now looking at our next equation. We're now looking at our next example, which reads m over 5, or m divided by 5, equals 7 minus 3 minus 8. So our next equation reads m over 5, or m divided by 5, equals 7 minus 3 minus 8. So if we check back with our did I sheet, it asks if we apply distributive property. There is no distributive property here, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to check that off. Now it asks us to combine like terms. So 7, negative 3, and negative 8 are all like terms. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to solve this. So 7 minus 3 is 4, minus 8 is negative 4. We're going to bring down the rest of our equation. Now we've moved all variables to one side and integers to another. We're going to identify the operation used on the variable and its inverse. So m divided by 5 is division, so the inverse would be multiplication. And we need to multiply by 5 in order to get m by itself. We're going to now use the inverse operation, get the variable alone, and check our answer. So this leaves us with m, and negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug negative 20 in for m. Negative 20 divided by 5 is negative 4. 7 minus 3 is 4. Minus 8 is negative 4. This checks out.